thing that was breaking in the news. And I think our bodies have messages for us, but the problem that I know you solve is oftentimes we can't hear those messages because we're running patterns, interference, and energies that maybe aren't truly what we want in our body.
Yeah, yeah. I listen to my body, and instead of judging my body for wanting a nap, I realized that in the past, those naps were oftentimes when I can't fight that feeling, it's when I get downloaded with stuff. So I thought, okay, I'm either gonna get an upgrade or download or something. But I did not know that it would save me from the power outage as well, because had I gone to Hyde Park, I would have to take the train back, and all those trains, I would have to walk so many miles back to the south, because Hyde Park
Wow.
is in the north, and I would have to walk so many miles or take a bus or something.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's amazing. And one of the messages I think that comes from that is that our bodies know. But what do you do, Jade, if your body is breaking down? Your body is not in a state of health and alignment. You yourself, a lot of people may not realize you went through autoimmune, depression, and body breakdowns. What was going on, and what did you do to resolve that, to move from that?
Yeah, so anyone, everyone with autoimmune stuff, one of the things I had to do was to learn to detach myself from the outside world, go within to heal all the self judgments, all the angry thoughts, and do self healing on myself. And whatever my body needed, I gave it. If it needed more sleep, I gave it more sleep instead of telling myself to drink another cup of coffee. So there was a lot of subconscious reprogramming as well to clear those messages that we just internalized growing up, like if you didn't turn out to be the person your mom and dad wanted you to be, or the what this culture expects,
Yeah.
it just seems like there's a very narrow spectrum of what success is in the world, isn't it? In the
Ye-
outside world, like if you didn't become a doctor, lawyer, or CEO banker,
Yeah.
then you're a loser. And I didn't become a lawyer or doctor or CEO banker, so I was a loser. That's a very narrow idea of success. And even now, I still have to, I cringe sometimes when I tell people what I do, and they look at me and say, "Do you really believe that
Mm,
stuff?"
wow. Well, it's interesting. When we think about the idea of energy, right? I was speaking with one of our guests last week, and he's a doctor, and he says he'll tell doctors, the body is energy, it's all energy, and they'll say, no, what are you talking about? And then he'll say, well, what do you do for the heart? Electrocardiogram. What do you do for the brain? You do a electro, resonance scan of the brain. What do you do for the muscles? You do electro, muscular scan. Everything is electro. Why? Because it's all energy everywhere. Everything we're looking at is measuring energy, frequency, vibration, and scanning it and understanding it because it's all energy. And that usually leaves them dumbfounded. So, you're not the only one. Even the doctors get questioned. What would you say was behind those conditions, behind the autoimmune? Did you get to a point where you could pinpoint that there was a belief system, there was something in the body that was creating this discord?
I feel like a lot of that was I internalized a lot of messages that were literally anti-life, anti-me, like I don't
Oh,
belong
wow.
here. Like so many of you who are star seeds, that feeling that you don't belong here, you're not wanted here. Not to mention that I was the extra, and in the time that I was born, uh, I was still in China. My parents were still in China. I was born in China, and there was a one child per family policy. Not only was I the wrong gender, but I was an extra, and I didn't even get to go to school when I was old enough to go to school because I was an extra. But thankfully, we came to this country when I was 8 and a half, where I was allowed to go to school here because there wasn't anything against me going to school. So I started things
Yeah.
really late in life.
Yeah. And it sounds like that belief, like you were an extra, was somehow embedded or indoctrinated or received by you. And it makes sense because as a child, we don't really have that critical faculty. We don't have that bypass. Someone says something, it just goes right into our minds. But it's not just our minds, right? Anymore. We realize now through energy healing, it's our bodies, it's our systems, it's our whole being that receives this message. And then what do you do with that message? Right?
Yeah, and I learned like the double-edged sword for all of us here who are sensitive and intuitive is that we are already always intuiting what people are thinking about us, even if
Mm,
they don't
that's
say it.
true.
So as a very sensitive child, I knew who I knew I wasn't wanted.
Yeah, even if they
Even
didn't
though I didn't
say it, you could
understand,
feel
yeah,
it.
even though
Oh,
politically I have no understanding politically of political policies and things like that. I have no understanding. I hear people say that, I drop into grown up conversations all the time because they assume that I don't know anything. So I hear them talking about horrible stories about what they do to girls when I was growing up. So yeah, it was tough. But I know that for all of you listening here, many of you are also in families where you're an extra in a different way, not because of an outside policy, but because you have parents who just were not up to the task of having another child. And that's where things get stuck in our matrix. The divine matrix is fascia
let's talk about that. It gets stuck in the fascia. I
and
love
bone as well
and the
when
bone.
you
Okay.
get old enough. And again, I talked about this last time. There was a study done in India, and I think in other places that said because sound penetrates the body and bone is more dense, so it kind of just holds more. And it reacts to all of us, our whole bodies, fascia, muscle, everything reacts to negative sound. And when that sound, the negative sound also holds a negative meaning, it hits your body, it hits your mind, it creates emotional distress as well. So this distress already in the physical because of the sound, distress emotionally because the name calling, the angry words, the put downs, the blame, the shame, the resentment, oh, that creates a lot of problems. And as people get older, these messages get trapped in the denser parts of our cells, our joints. And so then we get older and then we have arthritic pain, all kinds of pain. And I see people change right in front of my eyes when I work on fascia and joint. There's nothing more rewarding than seeing someone finally like opening up the shoulders and being able to move their arms and being able to just move. And I find that amazing because it's not about a belief system. When I work with energy, work with the light body, what changes in the light body immediately changes in the physical body. It's nothing that you have to imagine or not imagine. I know that science-based people, especially doctors, speaking about doctors, they would say, that's the power of suggestion. It's like, fine. I have fantastic power of suggestion then. My suggestions, damn it, are fantastic.
Well, I think you do, Jade. I know you do. Does anybody else think she has an amazing power of suggestion? I
Can
think though,
someone suggest that Fabio just show up in my front door? Those of you who have fantastic suggestions. That's one thing I need to learn. But that will be my next program.
that'll be your next program. We're gonna live stream. We're gonna live stream the day that he comes and shows up, and you manifest Fabio. Although I don't know now, maybe it's his son. We're not sure. We don't know how old Fabio is, but
Fabio
maybe
Jr.
Fabio Jr. With this idea of carrying energy in the bones, and receiving it and the power of suggestion, I want to share this with everybody. One doctor that understood how energy works was Dr. Mashura Emoto, right? And many of you are all familiar with messages in the water, but take a look at this, right? You see on one side those words, which I don't want to repeat, and that did that to the water. And then you see the other side, the words "thank you" created the beautiful crystalline structure. So for anyone here who would say, "Oh, it's power of suggestion," or the words are meaningless, it's just kind of how you receive them. The water has no idea. At least I don't think. I could be wrong. Water is conscious, and maybe it did, but the water changed based on the words. And the water also would probably change whether those words were written in Japanese, Chinese, Arabic, Spanish. Everything carries frequency. So the child, maybe even not even, and this is what I've learned too, not even understanding the words before they form language, those words embed in the subconscious in the body. And once we understand what the words mean, they take an effect. So yeah, it's not suggestion, it's energy. And we want to get the energy in our body to the thank you energy, right? To this.
Yeah.
The energy in our fascia, which we know our body is 70% water, right? It's structured. Our body is structured water. So how are you structured? Like this, right? Or this? Which one do you think is more painful? Which one do you think is a better age, old age, young age, happiness, longevity? Y'all let me know. I know I'm answering or asking a rhetorical question here, but what do you think? Y'all let me know. Uh, the one on the left, which was the negative one, or the one on the right? Let me know. Y'all type in left or right for me. Jade, what do you think about that? Because I mean, that really gets to the point of this. Like, this is bigger than just like what we think. It is the fundamentals of reality.
Absolutely. And I think that his work, Dr. Emoto's work is absolutely stunning. And I feel like this is also happening. If it's happening on a level of water, it's happening on a
Yep,
level of energy, it's happening on a level of your light body. It's just, it's happening.
it's happening.
It's happening all around. And it's so beautiful to have people who understand this so that when we come together, our collective energy adds to the coherence of the field. That just makes it so much more powerful. And it's so much more powerful to work from a coherent field of energy. A coherent field of energy would be where the molecules of water are like beautiful snowflakes. That's coherence. That's
Mm,
energetic coherence. And I think that what I appreciate about being with all of you is that you come with that, and you guys have big hearts, all your big hearts, and your wisdom
mm,
and your willingness to investigate alternative healing. It's huge. It's a huge contribution to the future of medicine, and we are in the future of medicine. So we are co-creating this field together, the future of medicine. And I love and appreciate all of you for being here to contribute to that field of energy that co-creates the future of medicine together.
mm. I love that. And I want to ask you about that study because you alluded to it a little more in detail last time, and I know I jumped in, but I want to share also Jody Anderson said something beautiful. She said the other thing that she's mentioning here is not only does the crystal look, more different than the other one, she said the crystal is stable. Stable, right? If you notice that one of these was very discordant, right? It had sort of like asymmetrical patterns, but look at the symmetry here, right? So imagine your bones, your body, your fascia, your stability, your congruence with who you are, with what you are. Um, when you are holding positive energy in your bones, in your body, in your fascia, in your joints, everything works better, right? Everything is going to be more aligned and healthy. Whereas this is discordant. This is, if you cut it in half, like there's gaps here, there's this here, there's this here. It's pretty interesting. What was that study, Jake? 'Cause I'd never heard that before. You mentioned it last time a little more. What were they looking at? What did they find?
Yeah, they were looking at arthritis in a number of people, the prevalence of arthritis, especially in women. And the conclusion was that the reason why women have more arthritis and arthritic pain and all that as they get older is because they get yelled more. Just
Yelled at, the yelling, right? The abusive language. Yeah. Yeah.
yes. So, I think that many people get yelled at, and men and women, we go through life in a world that is not yet awakened. I come to realize so much of the world is not functioning at a level of consciousness from the work of Dr. David Hawkins. So many people at a level of consciousness where they don't have the awareness, unlike all of you here who hold a higher level of consciousness so that your healing will be
Mm,
able to heal so many people, change the energy field of the people who are holding on to lower level of consciousness and they don't even know it. So these are the people who are going around putting people down, talking in a very angry way. I look at it as they are lost in a level of consciousness they're not even aware of. They're imprisoned by their own thoughts and by their own mind and by their own behavior. And you guys are all out of prison. So
yeah.
I hope you're out of prison. You're not listening to me from a prison cell.
Well, if they are, they may very well become free very quickly. I've heard those stories too, where people are just in these unimaginable situations and consciousness creates doorways. And that's what it does. When we're holding frequency in our fascia or in our joints, what does that look like? When clients come to you with things not right, what are some of the signs that maybe we're holding something that isn't really ours in our body? What shows up? What is
Yeah.
happening?
Some of the things that show up physically, it would be pain and then lack of mobility.
Okay.
Emotionally, is this
Uh,
feeling that you can never get ahead in life because the energy of your body is holding you back when it has so many lower vibration, lower density stuff. Literally, lower density is heavier, holding you back. When we clear that, not only do people gain mobility and movement in all the joints and movement in the body, also deeper breath, being able to breathe more deeply and easily. So that oxygenation of the whole body in itself is very important. That and pain gets released, and many people say, I haven't felt this good. But it's very emotional. It sounds small, but it's really emotional, especially for the ladies who
yes.
lost uh, movement in their shoulders to be dependent on other people for some things. Like you cannot wear dresses that have zippers in the back and cannot put on your own bra. That is very deflating. That is so deflating. And I see that and I just say, for anyone who's in that situation,
Mm,
there's nothing more life changing than being able to use your own arms and hands again to put on your own clothes because that just impacts your self-esteem so much and gives you back not only freedom but personal dignity. So it's really important to me that everyone who's here knows that there are options. You're not going to have to live your life that way because I know that when you deal with that um, feeling so deflated, depression will set in, you know. So when we improve mobility in the joints, mobility in the body, and release pain from the fascia, a whole person's life changes. And I
yes.
know that there are great healers who do things like rolfing, but this is like rolfing without having to go through the pain of rolfing, I should say. I
That is
love
true.
work of rolfers. My rolfer changed my life, and I wanted to be able to pay back by doing something similar. Of course, if you need a rolfer, please go see a rolfer. But I see people changing in as little as 10 minutes of intense work.
Yeah. I gotta say, we have stories. amazing ones here that, when I read them, I think, oh my gosh, I don't want to get in trouble here with the authorities, but there's some amazing shifts. And we always say, like, the energy of the higher consciousness that we hold, our perfect essence, like, does the alignment. And that's really what we look at. And story after story coming in, one person, Leah, said, especially when Jade worked on my eyesight, the energy rushed into and out of my toes. I never felt such movement before, and it has deeply changed my perspectives. And you worked on the eyes for people and how they see the world, how they see themselves, how they see opportunities. And you found that when people are limited in how they see themselves, they actually limit their life. And now we're seeing when people are limited in how they move and how they articulate, they also limit themselves. And I want to share this real quick, Jake, because this is a really key piece. Um, is anybody here dealing with any of these areas? And we're gonna take some callers, but if you are someone going through one of these challenges, raise your hand. Could be discomfort in the joints, arthritis, frozen shoulders, body stiffness. And one of the reasons we always have these asterisks is we're not offering medical advice, guidance, or treatment. We're working with the body, but sometimes we have to use words that are kind of what people are going through. Throat or voice feels closed off. TMJ, limited range of motion, tendonitis, hip pain, knee pain, ankles, foot pain, plantar fasciitis. Now, what's interesting is, right, as we go down, this is how it actually can show up in your life, right? Jade, anything you want to say about this? Because this is like lack of mobility in the body, lack of mobility in the life.
Exactly. When you regain mobility, when your body no longer holds on to all the old programs, because we think that it's about our mind when you change your mind. But people spend entire weekends in NLP workshops to change their mind, and then 3 days later they go back to their life and nothing in their body has changed. But when you change your body, you change your life. When you change your fascia,
Yeah.
the divine matrix of you, you change your life, and you no longer feel that you are stuck in old patterns of struggle, and you're no longer walking on eggshells. And the anger, the lower vibration energies that are holding you back are no longer doing that. So then it gives you the confidence to move forward.
Mm.
And it's not so mind based, because a lot of healing modalities are very strongly mind based,
Yep.
as if the body doesn't count. But it's your whole body that remembers from the work of some of the latest works about trauma, unhealed childhood trauma, how it impacts your whole life. We think it's in the DNA. It is in the DNA. And then the life experience creates all that to express in your whole body, your fascia, your bones. Oh my God, when all that gets changed, you change for sure. For sure,
Wow.
for sure, for sure.
Wow. Yeah, we're getting a lot of comments coming in. Claudia says I have left foot dysfunction. Judith says joint pains in the shoulders, hips that keep coming back. Pam is on her iPhone. And if anyone knows how to raise their hand, if you're just a phone caller and you're not on the computer, let one of our listeners know. I think we had a question from Sadie. Yes, she wants to raise her hand. She's on the phone, not on like the computer. Pam has throat constricted, difficulty swallowing, pain in feet, bunions. Another person wrote in and left foot dysfunction. Another person wrote in pain in the lower part of my body, eyesight cataracts. So yeah, these things show up in the body. We're all a mirror. So if you've given up on what really matters to you and you're also feeling that your body is not mobile, okay, there's a sign, right? We got to slowly start giving ourselves permission, right? If you can't see a better future for yourself, maybe you're walking on eggshells with at least one person. Maybe you're cluttered, actual or mentally, right? So we're going to dive into all of this. It's amazing. I mean, we are a mirror to our reality is a mirror to what we're feeling inside. And what we're feeling inside is creating our reality in every moment. And the cool thing is we can break out of that. So I want to get to some callers here. And Jade, anything, what happened? Anything you want to share with folks before we raise some hands here and take our first caller today?
Well, yes. So I just want to remind you all that in the group calls, we really go into everything more so that as a group we can heal together, and there's nothing too embarrassing or too painful to talk about, like releasing, especially fascia from our pelvic organs. That's very emotional, but it's
Oh,
also very necessary. Those are the things that I'm going to do
you're talking about
in the
sex
group
organs.
calls, so that you have sexual abuse, releasing
Okay.
stuff
Yeah,
from
that's what I
sexual
thought.
abuse, childhood sex abuse.
Wow.
All those things will come up to be released, but some of the things that will require preparing everyone better. For example, working on the pelvic area, I want to have the time to prepare people for that. So that's why those that will be in the group calls.
So
Frozen
yours.
shoulder will also be in a group calls because
Okay.
again, that is many years of heartache and abuse. And so it's not something released in a 5-10 minute thing. So preparing a safe space for going into the very painful situations that created that, yeah, that's gonna take some time, and that's why those will be taken care of really well in the group calls. Yeah, pelvic area stuff nobody wants to mention, but I know ladies, for example, who
Hmm.
have miscarriages, sexual abuse, as well as bladder control
Ah,
from life itself, things like that that nobody wants to be able to talk about. Those are very life changing, and I would not do it for you because, I mean, who would like to wear adult diapers, right? So that can be helped in a very non-invasive way. And that's why I
right.
do this work because you are safe at home while receiving this, and I'm clearing the stuff from your light body so it's not
Yes.
invasive. And then you regain control of your bladder. I mean, who would not want that?
These
So,
things
so
don't
those,
have to be inevitable. They don't have to be a
yeah.
situation that is inevitable. I want to get to the questions, but one of the things you've told me is that, and I remember, I can't remember how we got into this, but you had said the fascia is part of your divine matrix. It's like kind of like related to it, or it's the physical incarnation of that. Explain a little bit more about that, because I know that people say, "Oh, I've tried this, I've tried that. Why would this work?" Well, it's actually like the projection of your reality in many respects in your body. It's how you recalibrate everything. Is once you clear the fascia of those blockages, your divine matrix can reanimate, from our belief, this whole body experience.
Yeah, so fascia is like a network that connects all organ systems, all structures, bone, tissue, ligaments, everything,
Wow,
internal organs. So it's a beautiful network that holds everything together, literally like a net
like a net.
of communication. So it's like a divine matrix because that's where the real you, information about you, gets sent out
I love
to
that.
every organ and every structure in the body from head to toe, and then from the skin all the way to your internal organs. Yeah.
Mm. And you don't sometimes have to do very much. I mean, that's one of the things with your work. Like Kristen, she just went to sleep and had like a 90% reduction of discomfort just listening, without even doing anything but going to sleep, right? Because this is kind of like a whole system of recalibration. That's what we're really doing. So think of it really like you're kind of changing the entire network that connects your body, the whole signaling system. And so when you get that in alignment again with those beautiful crystals, like we showed you, how much better is everything going to flow? It has to. So, it's just amazing, Jade. I love it. I'm getting goosebumps. Let's go to some callers' questions. I know y'all are super excited and wanting help. I want to grab some folks maybe today that we've not heard from, maybe some new folks, but I'll definitely go with anyone who needs support. So I'm going to go maybe Cassandra's new, maybe she's not, but every day is a new beautiful day with Cassandra. So Cassandra, how are you doing today, my love?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. We're excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here. I love your calls and I love all the people you
Oh,
have on
thanks.
here.
What's going on? What's going down?
Well, I've been working on fascia for a while, and I notice every time I'm doing some fascia work, there's a lot of emotions that come up and a lot of bruising in my legs. And I just feel I'm at a point where I cannot move forward. I'm at a crossroads with many things in my life, but the clarity that I've always been seeking on what I'm really here to do and bring to the world has never come. And so I'm just at a point where I want to fulfill that and I want to feel great and happy in my life. And so, and that correlates to a lot of aches and joints, pain all over my body. I feel a lot of things in the world around me and I internalize a lot of things. And so it's been a process of learning how to not do that and to heal my body.
Well, okay. I think in so many ways, Cassandra, you speak for a lot of people. So let me just tap into your energy field. So everything that is trapped in your energy field and your fascia and joints, that's not you. Let's clear that. Okay, so this pattern of all or none, we're going to clear that so that you start seeing your progress, because the all or none sort of way of seeing keeps you from seeing your progress. So let me clear that. And when you're not functioning from that or perfectionism, can you see the progress you already made?
Yes, sometimes.
So now going into the fascia of the whole body and all the joints, it's like I'm gonna just see how many straight jackets you have on that create you to feel stuckness. So these straight jackets may be judgment, self-judgment, overly anticipating what people want and need from you. And now, good. And aligning you with your soul purpose, what you do know. So, Cassandra, all the things that you are good at that you discount, let's clear that. All right. I hope that's feeling much better for you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. I've had a lot of heat, a lot of movement.
Excellent. So, a lot of
Thank
things are
you.
still happening for you. All right. Let me just put you in the highest flow of universal energy to unpack and clear anywhere where you're stuck, and then allowing you to be embodying the highest flow, which is actually the group process I'm going to be doing today. So it's great that Darius is calling you. So stay tuned, because there's more that you from this call that will support you, but I'm saving the being in the flow part for the group process.
Thank you. Much love.
Much
Thank
love.
you.
Thank
How are you
you.
feeling, Cassandra, now? What's going on?
Good. I feel lighter.
Good.
I feel
Can
lighter and hot.
can you think of that maybe something that was feeling blocked or constrained, or maybe something that was a choke point, and think of it now, and does it feel any different? Does it feel like there's more, does it feel like there's more space?
Yeah, I don't feel as constricted.
That's what I was feeling. Yeah, I
I
could
don't
see
feel
that
as
in you.
constricted. I
Yeah.
feel that a lot in my abdomen, which would inhibit the breath
Yes.
a lot. And so when Jade said straight jackets, that made sense. And it's a lot of self-judgment. So
I mean, it's hard to move forward when you've got straitjackets choking off
Yeah.
your energy, especially when it's our energy that creates. It's like we can't, it's like having our hands tied behind our back. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Thank
you
you
know
so
your
much.
potential. It's like, I just want to do it. I just want to be here and serve and just have this amazing, fulfilling life with people around. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, Cassandra, I'm gonna have to tell you this. I think that whatever you're doing, you're meant to be doing something creative and even innovative that the world has not yet seen. And so your hesitation is that there isn't anyone to cheer you on. It's not like, oh, I'm going back to law school where everybody would cheer you on because there's an understanding of what that means, right? And they're going to be like, yeah, be the Supreme Court judge or something like that. But when you're meant to innovate something or create something of your own, artist, innovator archetype that is so in you,
okay.
your cheerleaders are not going to show up until you show up for you.
Mm. Oh, it makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so just know that
Okay.
you're on your way
Okay.
and you got to be your own cheerleader for a while. And then it takes time for the real cheerleaders to show up, especially when you're doing something cutting edge. I think that you are. So, people who are doing things that are pushing way beyond what this reality has seen, yeah, uh, the approval and all that and the applause will come so much later. But
Okay.
it's because you have the strength and the knowing to do what you're going to do. You
Okay.
have it in you. So,
Mm.
yeah, that
Thank you.
archetype is so functioning in you. The artist, the innovator is so in you that what you can see in your mind, you
Okay.
can create. And not many people have that ability.
Wow.
So, go
Okay.
at it.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
All
you.
right. I love it. And
Thank you so much.
can we send Cassandra some cheerleading energy and some love and some support? So Cassandra, we're all sending you some energy. There she is.
Yes, yes, yes. That's so beautiful. Why we have this group so that we can be cheerleaders for one another because um, being innovators and way showers, oh, you're not going to get applause. You're going to get smacked down many times. And I
No.
wish somebody would have told me that. So if I were to tell my 17-year-old self and 18-year-old self and even 30-year-old self, I'm going to tell her, you just keep going because
Mhm.
who cares that people smack you down because they won't see you and it'll
Yeah.
take a while. And some people will never even be there where they can see you. And again, this goes back to the beautiful work of Dr. David Hawkins, where he says some people are functioning at a level of consciousness. It takes they cannot be feeling blissful if they're always angry, and you just can't bypass that much energy, that many layers to just be in bliss.
Mm. I had the
You can,
privilege of meeting Dr. Hawkins before he passed away in Sedona. It was
oh,
incredible. One of my favorite books.
Yeah. Mine
yeah,
too.
yeah, ladder of consciousness or
Yeah.
map of
Mm-hmm.
consciousness, and he would understand
It would.
what you're going through and where you're at, and how being around certain levels of consciousness, not the fault of the people themselves because they don't know how trapped they are, but
Yes.
you are like flying up the ladder of consciousness, because of who you are and your openness to change.
I love
And
it.
you won't be one of those people who would just in a lifetime, Dr. Hawkins says people only go up so many steps in the ladder of consciousness. But all of you who are here, you are changing rather quickly, and so this work on fascia will just support you to be lighter and to not walk up the ladder of consciousness, but perhaps to take the elevator up the ladder of consciousness.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cassandra.
Thank
Amazing.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. We're going to go to another caller. And also, if anyone's listening in on the live stream, we're going to cut the live stream for those people outside of our community. And if you want to join us or you're like, how do I get on these calls? What do I, I'm watching these people getting work done. You got to go to our uwealthrevolution.com/now page. And Jade, I don't know if you know this, but your video snippet from last time that we just posted about 30 minutes on YouTube is actually one of our most viewed videos in the last like year or so, just a huge, just on YouTube. We had over 2,500 views on YouTube. And I'm sure in our community, tens of thousands. So really exciting stuff. People are